Today on Leverage Radio, we speak to David Karasek. David is a 10-time Swiss swimming champion, someone who has competed at the highest levels of his sport and is now on a mission to help people and athletes improve their life and maximize their potential. David, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Thanks, Mohit and Ashwin. Thanks for having me. Great. As we it just woke up, but it's nice. It's a good day, and excited to be here with you guys and have a good chat.
What do you have planned for your Sunday?
Man, I think I'm gonna watch UFC because I don't know the results yet because there was a big fight night yesterday. So don't tell me.
Yeah, so we just saw it. It just ended like 2 hours ago. But yeah, well worth the watch.
Okay, really? Okay, that's great. So
just stay away from your phone.
Yeah, we won't ruin anything for you.
Exactly. So that's what my girlfriend and I usually do. We watch it on Sunday, but that means no social media on Sunday morning because you don't want to spoil it, right?
Yeah, that'll ruin it for you very quickly.
Definitely not. That's good.
Did you guys watch the whole thing live?
Yeah.
Yep,
basically.
the whole thing live. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like really Sunday morning rituals now. Like for the last few years since the UFC has been broadcast in India regularly. It's like we all wake up at basically 6 a.m, start watching the fights like as soon as they're on.
And that is like when you tell me that sounds like something. No matter how little sleep you got, when you know this is on, you always wake up. You're excited.
You'll be
like
up regardless,
kid, right?
Yeah, for sure. No matter, even if I slept at like 3 a.m. for some reason, I'd be up at 5:30 watching the shit.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's the worst. I'm like half asleep. I'm still watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's do you guys remember Game of Thrones? Did you guys watch that?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So that used to be actually a similar time. Yeah.
And well, we didn't watch it live, but it was airing on Sunday in America. So that meant like we could watch it on Monday evening, but Monday morning I got up and go to work and I was all excited. Tonight is Game of Thrones, So it's interesting what it can do for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good show. So I'm going to jump right in with our first topic. David, tell us about Tribe of Athletes. What is the Tribe of Athletes?
Yeah, man. So we're a community. It's the world's #1 community for confident pro athletes because what I believe is that confidence eliminates self-doubt all the time. Like whatever self-doubt that we have is just a lack of confidence. We don't believe it can happen for us. And I always say, like, when athletes ask me, how can I get stronger, physically stronger? And I always say it's mindset before mechanics. So that means you can only be physically as strong as you believe you can be. So instead of, working all these hours to the point of exhaustion and injury and fatigue and all that, my approach is, or our approach is that it starts in the mind first. So you got to start to train and study the mind, how all this works. How can you increase your belief? And the Tribe of Athletes is a community of athletes and coaches that are all on the same team and have realized that mindset should be a priority for their sports career.
Interesting. And so you work with athletes across the board, like all sports?
Yeah, we cover all sports because, look, there is different dynamics. So let's take, for example, an UFC fight. It's a different mental game than a tennis player because when the cage closes, right, and that Herb Dean goes, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Fight! It's on."
Yeah.
And it's like if you have a bad second or a millisecond, you get knocked out and it's all over. And the guys sometimes they don't know what happened, and you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
And it's over like that. But in tennis, you can lose. You can play for 5 hours and you can lose 49.5% of all the balls, but you can still win the match because you're winning 50.5%.
Right.
So that means you're going through the shit a lot. You gotta stay composed all the time, and the momentum goes to you. It goes to the other guy or the girl, and it comes back to you. So you have more opportunities to become mentally tough. But in the end of the day, it's mindset it's universal. It's we're working with the laws of the universe. It's like gravity. It doesn't matter where on the planet you are. Gravity will just, and if you believe it or not, it just is. And with the mindset, you can want to be a good parent, and you need a good mindset. You can be like want to be an artist and you need a good mindset. You can be a
Mhm.
tennis player, a boxer. Like it doesn't matter. The mindset for me, it's just a universal thing. So that we have all kinds of athletes, really, team
You,
sports,
but
individual.
do you deal with any BJJ athletes or MMA athletes personally? Have you ever dealt
So
with them?
on we do MMA fighters, but on a so I don't have any paying MMA fighters that are in the program. So they are like my friends and my girlfriend. She's a pro fighter.
Mhm.
She's very good, so she's doing the work. But obviously, I wouldn't like charge her. So and that's why like those people were the first clients basically because they're like my friends that from the gym, right? And they started to see what I do and started to get interested because they heard, for example, I mean, what clicks with the MMA community is Conor McGregor.
Mhm.
And he speaks about using visualization all the time and using the law of attraction. Like if you go on YouTube and just type in Conor McGregor and law of attraction, he, when he was on welfare and was getting money to
Mhm.
buy food, basically, he was already visualizing these kind of things. He
Visualizing,
was
yeah, yeah, correct.
right. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I am. Why I asked that question actually is because with MMA athletes or any athletes with that are taking any kind of head trauma, CTE is now a huge factor. And I wanted to know if you notice that if you've dealt with any athletes or MMA fighters, because over the years now we've seen athletes on the end of their careers really struggling with that, and they've just changed as human beings. So I want to know if you had any personal stories that you had any interactions with anybody as of yet.
I don't, but I would be like interested. Do you like what happened? I don't, I can't speak about that. Definitely not an expert in that. And I just hasn't like, I haven't
Right.
seen it personally. But so what happened with these people when they go? I mean, are you talking about people that are in the MMA or boxing probably also, right? Like,
Anything with like head trauma. So like it could be the NFL, it could be
yeah,
rugby. Like you see it with Diego Sanchez. I don't know if you've been up to
yeah,
date on what's happening with him. But like, dude, that guy's on another planet at the moment. So BJ Penn, um, these guys are not the same people they were even
mhm,
10 years ago, in my opinion.
yeah.
Um, but they still, I mean, that's why Diego Sanchez is like so easily manipulated at the moment.
Hmm.
Um, just because I think it's head trauma, man.
It's that coach, right? That like that video that went viral when he's like hanging
Dude,
upside down. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fucking nuts, right?
It's weird. This is like it's very cult like.
So, you being somebody who's a mindset advocate and a mindset coach, when you see something like that, like what's going on there?
Yeah, I think it was similar to what a lot of people. I thought like first I thought it was a joke, but then like I read like some of the comments and I was just, I mean, why would you do that? There's other people like Holloway. He doesn't spar. Like they're trying to avoid as much damage as they can, and look how well they're doing. And it's not like Diego Sanchez is not like that. He's doing so well, right? And he hasn't for many years. So
Exactly.
I mean, but yeah, what you're saying, Ashwin, that he's being manipulated, I find that very interesting because if you're like with your full wits, I mean, you wouldn't, I mean,
It
at
would
some
be a
point you
lot
got to
harder
like
to
stand
manipulate
up.
somebody, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's got their wherewithal. I mean, their brains working correctly. It's not supposed to be that way. But yeah, man, it's sad to see what's happening with some of these athletes. But um, I would be very interested. That's why I asked, just because now we're seeing the effects of it with boxing. We've seen it,
Mhm.
but MMA is, since it's so new, generation that's just gone into retirement is now feeling it.
That's right.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
that's
Mudge.
like yeah, it's a very good topic. And I mean, isn't there a movie about the NFL about football?
Will Smith, I think, was starring in that. It's
That's
called
right.
Concussion,
Concussion.
concussion.
Concussion. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll check that
Yeah.
out today. It's on Amazon Prime.
No, man, I can't check that out because it stresses me out. What if? Because I've done a lot of sparring over the years, and I just
No, you won't have CTE. Like it will take a lot more, man. Like
really, I don't
I
think so. You might be mistaken because I remember a friend of ours watching that movie and just like freaking the fuck out and telling me, "Dude, do not watch this movie."
because like now they're finding that football players, soccer players, like a lot of them are getting CTE
Because of
because
heading the ball.
yeah, constantly heading the
Soccer.
ball,
Yeah, I can
which is
see that.
crazy because if the ball is lobbed by the goalkeeper, like I don't know, 60, 80 meters, and you're just connecting flush on with the top of your dome. I mean, it will rattle your head like a little better.
David,
Yeah.
you performed. I mean, you were a swimmer at the highest of levels, right? Um, I have a few questions with that. So, firstly, was it hard retired? I mean, I'm presuming you're retired now.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Was
you
that
get
a hard was that a hard decision, or after the years of training, was that something relatively easy?
so it was both, but it was a good decision. Let's put it that way, because I was in the States for just from 2008 to 2012. That was the Olympic cycle. And
Right.
then my highlight was the Olympic Games 2012.
Right.
And I didn't make it into the final there, but I did swim well. I got a Swiss record, and it was an absolutely incredible experience with the Olympic spirit and all the athletes there and everything. And then I was back in Switzerland, and swimming wasn't the same, because in America it's all about the team, and you literally have 70 guys and girls on the team and coaches, and they're all pulling on,
Pushing.
you're just scoring for the university, and
Yeah.
they have that spirit. That's why they're so good in sports. I mean, that's
Right.
what I'm convinced,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
The
I mean, there's no
infrastructure
better.
supports it.
Yeah. And man, we had professors of mine from the university come with like paint on their cheeks for like a simple meet
amazing.
that we had. They came with the trumpet, and it's crazy. I loved it. And I was back in Switzerland, and it wasn't the same anymore, because it was back to like very an individual sport. People weren't so motivated. And I remember, I had the thought of quitting and getting into the corporate world for a while. And it was Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock. And I jumped in the pool, and my thoughts were just, damn, this is so boring. I'm so bored. And I just like, look on the bottom of the pool, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm done. And after 10 minutes, I just got out of the pool. I told my coach that I'm done swimming and I will never come back. I mean, I'll see you, but I'll leave and I'm done. And I just left the pool, and I never came back.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, at least there were no second thoughts in your head, man.
Yeah.
But at that point, how many years into swimming were you? A lifetime?
It was like, I mean, must have been like 15 or something. Yeah. Maybe even a bit more. Like, depends what you count. But we started swimming, like, the first competition maybe was 7 or 8. So it must have been like, 18 years.
And never looked back.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
interesting.
it was still like the thoughts I had about, what are my parents going to say? What's my coach going to say? Or am I letting them down? Am I throwing something away? But, I made that decision, and I look back, and it was such a beautiful decision, because so many doors have opened. Like, what if I, stayed there and spent the time and pushed through something that I didn't even enjoy? It's like, yeah.
when
if
did
you're
you
not enjoying
find
it,
jujitsu?
yeah, that's also interesting. And I'm going to ask you the same question. My brother was fighting. He was doing full contact karate and Thai boxing and all that, and he's very good. And I went to training with him, and I realized I'm having a lot of fun, but I'll never have a chance to beat him. So what I figured is, like, I'll go on the ground so I can be better on the ground. So I started with jiu-jitsu. And you
That's
guys?
pretty smart. That's pretty smart. I always wanted to learn some jiu-jitsu. I used to watch Bellator on TV early in the mornings here. And I was always fascinated with, I mean, the strangles and the joint locks and all that. So when a friend of mine, now a friend of mine, and my partner opened the gym initially, I went, signed up, and just didn't look back after that, man. I just really, really got into it really quickly.
Yeah, cool.
What about you, Mohit? How'd you pick up on this shit?
I was like, I just need to learn self-defense, man. Like, I had a friend of mine who he kept telling me that you have to come try out this jiu-jitsu thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I was like, how good can it be, And but I knew I needed to learn some self-defense, because I was like a young guy going out at night and stuff, and I just
Talking shit to people.
talking shit to people, and I just never felt safe. So I was like, all right, let's learn something to use in case something goes sideways. And yeah, fell in love with jiu-jitsu and been training for about 8 or 9 years with these guys. So
What do you guys think? What is it that, because I mean, a lot of people that try out jiu-jitsu, and then there's these absolutely die-hard raving fans. They go on YouTube, they watch, like, what is it why is that?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. It's just people who do jiu-jitsu think they're better than the rest of the world. I think that's a That's a big problem with our community. That we think we are so much more superior,
Evolved.
so more evolved than the rest of them. That's the problem with these guys. That's why they're overly aggressive. They're like CrossFitters, man, in a way.
Yeah.
So they
But
just can't stop talking about it.
But that what you're saying, like CrossFitters, maybe I'm just thinking out loud here. It's because in jiu-jitsu you are very close to other people. It's very intense, and you know how it is when you have an intense emotion. It's like you remember it more clearly. It's like the brain burns itself in your brain. So maybe that's like this emotion. You know, you're close to, you know, sometimes puking, and it's really like close to almost not like death, but the feeling of
Extreme
But it
emotions.
is.
No,
But
they're
it is
extreme
close to
emotions,
death.
no matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's simulating death over and over again. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense, man.
Bonds you to people because you nearly died, but then you're like, oh, I'm safe. Hey, buddy. Thanks.
And then for some reason you still love the guy right after that. Yeah. Well,
It's weird. So coming back to your work with the tribe of athletes, it's a two-part question. Number one is generically, what's the right mindset? Like you talk about right mindset and get in the right frame of mind. If I had to just be like, it's a one-liner, it's a two-line answer. What is the right mindset?
yeah. So if I can answer that with two sentences, is that you got to have a big dream. And I mean a big dream, not a realistic dream. And that's what they mean with, if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So you got to have a big dream, big goal. And the second one is you got to believe that you can have that dream before it has happened. And that's what confidence is that you believe it's possible for you before you've had it. I would say these two things. And, you know, it comes from, and this is, I'm so confident about the knowledge. It's not my knowledge. Like, let's not kid ourselves. This is not like me and I'll find the Holy Grail. This is, you know, the work of people that have come before us and that know more than us. And that's always my mentor. One of them always said, is like, you want to hang out with people that know more than you, but also know that they're no better than you.
This is Bob Proctor you're talking about?
Yeah, that is Bob Proctor, exactly. And the other one, and yeah, I mean, there's so much wisdom from these guys, and Bob is 87.
Yeah.
And he spent his entire life after 26 studying the mind, how it works, understanding ourselves, understanding other people. And it's such a, you know, he has so much knowledge locked inside of him. And I just think, hey, there you go. We got to listen to these people because they know something that we haven't figured out yet. And, you know, it's not good or bad, but it's opportunity. And so I think these two things are the big dream and the belief that you can have it before it has happened.
Have you finished this book yet? Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill? I haven't yet. I've just started. But I mean, I'm one chapter in and I'm pretty hooked already.
Yeah. So what are you learning and what are you thinking?
Nothing yet. I'm just hoping to find what they say I will. So let's see. Without divulging too much information. But again, after I picked this up a few days ago after our conversation the other day. Bob Proctor talks about him. He read this book and it changed his life apparently, right? Yeah. And a lot of people say the same thing. So I thought I'd go through it.
You know, that it's interesting. Napoleon Hill, the story about him, he wrote the book and he interviewed what the richest guy on the planet when he was writing the book. And so all that wisdom, you know, and Napoleon Hill was nobody at the time, basically. And now he started to develop the dream that he could have as big of an impact and be as rich as that richest guy, right? He didn't believe it at first, but he started to develop that. And now when you look at it, his book, I think they made like over 1 million millionaires if you look over all the years. So like he helped so many more people. And it's absolutely incredible. And he came from nobody. And that's really what you find is, for example, Tony Robbins. People will know Tony Robbins. His story is also, it's quite incredible. He was, you know, he had zero money He was so poor. He had such a shit life from what he's describing and other people are saying. But the persistence and the belief that he could do it. And now look where he is. He's changing millions of lives. And I got into this kind of stuff through Tony Robbins. Because when that guy speaks, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Tony Robbins his energy definitely is contagious.
Man, he is. So when he speaks, I'm like, yeah, I get so inspired just by listening to what he's saying. Even, I mean, yeah, it's just the way he talks and how excited he is about it. I mean, you gotta love that guy.
Yeah, you can't hate him for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think, it's like Roger Federer. Everybody loves Roger Federer, no?
Yeah, he's like the male version of Oprah Winfrey, I think. And he had Conor McGregor on his show, I mean, it wasn't a show, it was just an interview.
And man, he coached him.
Yeah, he did.
He coached him.
He did. And that's when Conor spoke about what you mentioned earlier in the podcast.
The law of attraction.
So we're talking about the law of attraction. You have a big goal in mind. You foresee all of that. Like, where do we go from there?
You made the clear distinction that it can't be an achievable goal, correct?
No, it's no. It's.
I mean, it can't be realistic. It can't be realistic.
That's right. It's got to be a goal that you don't know how to get there.
Right.
Because if you know how to get there, like for example, if you're driving a Porsche and you want to buy a new Porsche, that's not a goal because you already know how to do it. If you've been driving that Porsche for 5 years, you've known for 5 years how to buy a Porsche.
So I'll give you an example. So I have the ADCC trials that I might most probably will compete in December.
Awesome.
And why are you looking at me like that, Mohit?
Because but you need to get some training and it's already fucking
because everything is closed, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to get training in, but I was scheduled for that and everything. Like I got a full sponsored trip to go and compete in Singapore because I won the Indian ADCC Open. So that's all taken care of. So now would that be
big enough
big enough goal, or would the ADCC Worlds be a big enough goal?
Yeah, look, what's happening is this, and what's happening is this, that in the beginning, when we start out with this kind of work, we don't allow ourselves, or a lot of us don't allow ourselves to have that really huge dream at first. Mm-hmm. So what I would say, if you feel comfortable just having just a big one that you still have no idea how to get there, start out with that. If you feel comfortable and if it excites you, go for that. But what you'll find is that you will, and that has happened with me. Like within 8 months after starting to make these things, I literally, one of my dreams, one of them came true. And that is facilitating workshops for thousands of people. And that's not with athletes.
Congratulations.
And then when that happens, and you don't know when it's going to happen and how, but when that happens, you're like, oh my God, I get goosebumps speaking about it, because when he made me partner in the firm, I was jumping up and down like a little baby. I was like, oh my God, that stuff really works. Yeah. And then what you do is like, you're like, shit, I could have gone, to that star. Like I could have had that, but then you feel more comfortable because you already know that you can do it. And that's like, so that the first step is the most difficult, but what I would suggest is that it is a really far out goal that scares you and that you don't know how to get, because that will make you grow. Like it's not about winning a medal or being a champion. In the end of the day, it's about who you become. And if you go for something that you don't know how to get, that is the person that you become from that, and knowing that you can do this, that will help you in all areas of life. And when you do that once, then you can go for the star. And I think that's
fair enough. For us, like in India, winning something like that would put our country on the map, really, because we struggle in that department, in the combat sports department. So winning the worlds would be that out there, that massive dream. So yeah, I mean, that does help, man. Thanks.
Yeah. And just think if you have one of these dreams, and when you're saying that would help the country and would put the country on the map, Like, keep thinking what else that will do. Like, how many people you inspire with that, what that will do for the, I mean, India is a huge freaking country. You know what that will, the kind of inspiration that you can have. And that's what I'm saying. If you think it through and you really start to
Yeah,
imagine what could happen, and just be open to how it's going to happen. Maybe you don't win. Maybe you become like fourth, but you have like a beautiful story because I don't know, you lived in the gym, you didn't have money for this, or I don't know, you had COVID, couldn't train, and still you did. I don't know what it is, but then all of a sudden you're there and you look back and like, oh my God, this is so cool. But you need to have the big dream, because that will give you the inspiration to basically take action when things get a bit tough, and to push through. We call that the terror barrier that like comes up in. And basically, if you don't push through, you go right back to where you were. And it's like, oh, at least I feel comfortable. And at least I know what I have. I don't like what I do, but at least, I know what I'm doing. And the safe place, the comfortable. But you need like real inspiration to push right through that. And then when you do that, there's no limit to what you can do.
That's an important point, because for the longest time I was struggling to get Mohit to compete, mainly because he was in this comfort zone. He knows I'm right, dude. He was in this comfort zone for like the longest time. And then he just did it. And he's like, dude, I want a rematch. I want this. I want that. And he's just out there, and he just wants to keep doing it.
I mean, like you said, that it's not about it's not about just winning and losing. Yes, that is important. Yes, that's a big part of like why anyone would do anything. Like, why would you just want to show up? But like getting over your own hump, getting over your own like sort of
it's a scary thing that you need to get past. It is
irrational fears that just go out and do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like a lot of energy is spent kind of like overthinking. Would you say that is a fair assessment?
Dwelling on things, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I would agree with you guys. There's a good quote that is, how's it go? Oh, worry is the misuse of imagination.
Well, I misuse my imagination a lot.
Yeah, we all do, right? But just think what you can do if you focus on what you can do and not what could go wrong and blah blah blah. It's like all that energy. Just focus on what you really want. That will make a difference. And I think, it's not a difficult concept. It's not like you don't have to be like a rocket scientist to understand this. This is, I teach that to children. It's not difficult. It's a habit. It's like you have to develop a habit over a couple of weeks to focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. And once you have that, it's literally like any other habit. It will like become easy. It will be natural that you just by standard, whatever happens is like you're looking for opportunity and what you want instead of what could go wrong. And these people, when you have a conversation, they're always the but. These people. They're not like bad people. It's just
very close friends of mine.
Just a habit. Yeah,
that's good. So let's say, David, somebody comes to you.
Mohit, he just quoted one of our friends, Mohit.
Anyway, so David, like, let's say somebody does come to you and they give you their vision for their athletic career. Like, where do they, without giving too much away, where do you get started with them? Like, what is the first thing you would ask them to do if like you sign up an athlete? And
let's say I sign up, I reach out to you. So how does this work?
Yeah, man, I could give everything away, man. I want this to go everywhere. That knowledge, free for everyone.
Yes,
so
sir.
The first thing is, man, what you guys have to understand is that even at the top level, a lot of athletes, they don't even know like what their dream really is. And they, again, like they're doubting themselves. No matter how much success they have, they keep having these, and they're not like completely happy with it. And, like there's stories about soccer players, they have the biggest anxiety and they're not enjoying any of the match because they're feeling so like watched by the coaches and the press. And so they're not really enjoying it. So so the first thing is that we establish what the dream is, what they really want, not what their parents want for them, not what their siblings want for them, not what the coaches want, but what they want to do. That's like the first thing. And then when we have that, what we start doing is exercises. We start to develop like a daily routine, because every athlete that works with me one-on-one has to commit to put, like I say, between 10 and 15 minutes a day into this daily routine, which is like, think about it this way, and you guys will 100% understand that because of grappling. How do
Mhm.
you learn any of the moves? Through
Drilling,
Drilling, of
repetition.
course, repetition.
repetition. Okay. And exactly. And the mind, there's absolutely no difference. Everything that we master in life, we learn through repetition. Everything. Okay.
Hmm.
And to reprogram the subconscious mind is, this is basically what we're doing, because we're changing the belief. The belief is not like in just here, it's like in the whole, it's in the subconscious mind. It's like what you think you're worth, what you think. Yeah, it's like deeper than just like the thinking, right? And we use repetition to do that. So we
Like
start with exercise.
affirmations.
Yeah, affirmations yeah, kind of affirmations. But then what is really important is that it's not an affirmation that we're doing on a, we call that a negative vision. So like, let's say like you think, or let's say I think I'm ugly. Okay, if I think I'm ugly and then I just go in front of the mirror and I tell myself I'm pretty, I look so good, I'm pretty, my subconscious mind isn't stupid, and it would be like, if you really
It'll,
thought that way, if you really felt that way, you wouldn't say it.
yeah.
Right. So what it is that we take the affirmation, we take the dream, and we connect it with the heart, because it's the emotion that creates. It's like, it's the emotion that will get us, when we're emotionally involved, we'll take action. We'll put that's what makes the body move, right?
No.
So that's what we do. We like, I'm so happy and grateful. Look, I'll show you, I'll give you an example, okay, from what I did the other day. What I wrote down. And this is literally, I just like write it down. And I wrote down, I'm so happy and grateful now that we're 1,000 coaches strong in my company, and that we serve and work with the world's best football players, fighters, and tennis players. Every one of my coaches is a former pro athlete who's worked with me and had so much success with the mental training that this is all he or she wants to do after their career. We're getting millions of views on our YouTube channel, and it's every athlete's dream to be coached by our company. I'm traveling around the world to Champions League games and Grand Slam tournaments and UFC nights, and as a mentor, fan, and friend of the world's most inspiring athletes. So that's what I write down. And by writing that down, you can also close your eyes after that and tune into it, and really, and feel what that is. And what you'll find is, when you do that every day, it's 10 minutes. It's not much. It's like that picture will start to become more colorful. It will become more clear. You will get the ideas, and it's really incredible. But you got to do it every day, and that's the most important. That's why I'm like, not like some kind of guru or something. So I'm really an accountability coach. I got to get you to do it every freaking day. And after a couple of days and weeks, you will start to change. There's no other way. You have to change.
That's nice. I like
Interesting,
that
man.
phrase, accountability coach.
Yeah.
Like, you hold them. So it's kind of like you take the athlete on this journey of self-belief, where they start believing more and more in their own skill, their body, their ability. Um,
Which you mentioned, there is that self doubt even on the highest of levels of competition and athletic prowess. People still have these doubts no matter how successful they are, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Do,
And
do you
that,
have any case studies in particular that, I mean, of people, I mean, without taking any names, of just like massive people who just get everything they want and still doubt themselves?
yeah, I mean, the example that comes to my mind, that is a sad one, but that is not in sports, but it's Robin Williams, the actor.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, everybody like, but it's a similar thing. Like, everybody on the planet loved that guy, and he was so good at what he was doing, but he was completely unfulfilled, and he was so unhappy. And Tony Robbins speaks of the science of achievement, but the art of fulfillment. And the art, there's no like right way to go about it, and that's why. But you can be a high achiever and reach all the goals to the
But be
outside, have a
unfulfilled.
lot, right? But you are not fulfilled. So they got to go like hand in hand. And that's why I'm saying that I want to work with the most inspiring athletes. They don't have to necessarily be the best. Like, take Tiger Woods. He has incredible achievements in golf, but it was never his dream, it was his dad's dream.
Right.
And so now look what's happening with him. Like, he's also, you could argue, you know, in
Dude,
other
he
areas of life, right?
yeah, in other areas completely, but he built himself back and he came back from the dead.
It's true.
He literally rebuilt his game and won the Masters again. I mean, that does not happen in an athlete's life twice. It happens
That's true.
once and it's a miracle. The guy did it twice, which is
Yeah.
unheard of.
Yeah.
And that guy is a huge inspiration for a lot of people. It's insane what he came
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, that's true. But then I would love to, with Tiger Woods, I got to tell you guys, I would love to have a conversation with him. I would love to have a lunch with him and ask him about how he's feeling about the rest of his life, what's going on for him. I would love that because, as you said, it's like, yeah, and it's also like, what do we know, right? We just see what's in the news and all that, but we don't really know what's really going on. I saw a documentary about him and all that, but that's also, it's just one angle. And so I would love to have a conversation with him.
Have you read Tim Grover's book Relentless?
No, I haven't.
So Tim Grover was the performance coach or strength and conditioning or whatever you want to call it, coach of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, the gang. And he speaks about how everybody has a dark side. And he mentions how Tiger Woods' dark side, well, it got the better of him. And he would have liked to see Tiger Woods just own the fact that he did what he did and still come out and kick ass. But what he noticed was that when all those accusations and all that came out, he just crumbled and he developed injuries. But he did come back from it. But that must have, I mean, I would have, like you mentioned, I'd love to sit with him and speak to him about how he brought him out of himself out of that dark hole. Because, I mean, that is inspirational as hell to me.
Yeah. And you see, in the end of the day, it's not about like winning or anything. It's about how he came back and the person he became through that. And that's what's really inspiring when, I mean, that's absolutely it. So yeah, hopefully we can get him on the show, huh? Let's put the word out.
Someday, maybe. So I want to talk a little bit about like your lessons from swimming. So you spent a very long part of your life becoming a Swiss national champion and
Olympic athlete,
Olympic
the highest
athlete.
level of
That was my next point. But so
he was building it up, you know.
Yeah, man, come on, like,
Bruce Buffer here.
So what lessons do you bring from your career and your training and your life into what you're doing now?
Yeah. So, and if I can answer that looking back now, I would, and this is a real lesson. It's like really to have a dream and to know what you want and to allow yourself to dream big. That's it. That is the one thing that I never did when I was swimming, because I was lucky. Look, when I was young, I had an Olympic dream like every child, but I wasn't laughed in the face, but I was made fun of and like put down in a sense, not in an evil way, but that's just how we grow up here in Switzerland. It's like
everywhere. They're like, what are you going to do? You're going to play.
Like settle down. Yeah. I mean, like everybody is, right? They've given realistic goals instead. Realistic.
Just get a job or something.
But it's not like that in America. Like Michael Phelps grew up around an Olympic team. And when Michael Phelps was young, I'm always saying, I'm sure it's not true, but he probably didn't even know that there's a silver and a bronze medal. He was just Olympic gold. And that was like fixed in his mindset. There would be no question for him to not win gold. Like whereas a Swiss would say, oh, I can make it to the Olympics and then I'm happy. But Michael Phelps, he wouldn't settle for anything else, just like Michael Jordan didn't. So that it's a mindset thing. And so I was always thinking, what's realistic? And then I became Swiss junior champ. And I was like, okay. And my coaches helped me with that. Okay, maybe you can be, 10% better and make it to the older level. And then you can be 5% better and make it to the European level, but never that big dream. And that's what I believe. It's like, if you really want it, then allow yourself to have the big dream and just say, okay, if it's tennis, I want to win Wimbledon. And even if 10 years later, you're second in Wimbledon, it's still an awesome career and you still learn a lot. And even if you're fourth, but have one and go for it if you really want it, if that's what you want. But you have to know what you want. So that would be the one lesson, the biggest lesson.
And how often are people honest with themselves in your experience?
Yeah, not. I think it's something that we can, with a little bit of coaching, with the conversations, like literally just conversation. Like it's not, we can all do that with, if somebody trusts us, if somebody knows that we want the best for them, like never underestimate just having a good conversation. Like what you guys are telling me, like, it goes deep. I can get goosebumps around that. And so you can get ideas with talking to anybody. But I think with a bit of conversation, people, they want to be honest, but there's something holding them back. So if they can share with people what it is, and you can kind of help them to speak it, because I have a bracelet here that says, what we speak is what we create. So when you can start, and some people, when we talk about their dreams, they'd be like very quiet in the beginning and say, yeah, I'm so happy and grateful now that I winning Wimbledon. As you see, okay, if you don't feel comfortable yet, but right, with a bit of, like talking through it with repetition, they come back 1 week later and they're already standing in front of the mirror and going like, that's how it goes. It's like you become comfortable saying it again. That's why you have to just use repetition. And so it's not difficult, but I think very few people are really honest with themselves from the beginning and really allowing themselves, because it's just kind of conditioned out of us to fantasize and to dream.
It is.
Be realistic, pay attention, or otherwise.
I'm sure it really helps also that I mean, you're an elite level athlete. When you go and speak to your clients, they don't think you're some schmuck who's just talking at them. I'm sure you can tell them, hey man, I've done it at the highest level, so I've been there. I know what you're talking. I know what I'm saying. So trust me. I'm sure that helps with clients. So what about like the rest of your company? Are they all former athletes? Have they all had some background in any kind of sport, or is it just a mix of people?
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, so what I read you before, so that's my vision. So it's not like we're 1,000 strong. I'm just hiring now. I'm hiring 2 people now. And so far it's only been me. And I had help in like the background with, the systems and all that and the videos. But so coaching, I'm just hiring two people now. And they
are you looking at hiring former athletes, or are you looking outside that as well?
So my dream is that the former athletes, it would be nice, but they would have to, be familiar with what I do basically, or what we do, the philosophy behind that. So I think it will take a bit of time, but what I'm saying with every pro athlete that I work with is like, when you're done with your sports career, then, and if that's what you want to do, then you have somebody to talk to, right? Because I mean, that would be the optimal scenario. Is like they get coached, they're having fun, they have the success, they are the inspiration that they want to be. And then when they're done with it, they're like, look what we created. That's like the best case scenario. It's like, and then they come and they coach the others and pass that on. So that's the vision. But so far the girls that I'm looking to hire now, they're from the sports industry, but they're not like former pro athletes. They're both of them are moms. And so,
I mean,
they're
that's
knowledgeable.
a lot of experience also.
Yeah, wow, more than way more than me. I'm not a parent. And that's what I'm finding is like that. We're talking about peak performance, like for athletes. Okay, but it's a freaking game. It's like we go on the mat and it's a game, or we go on
it's all a
on
game.
The real peak performers, they're our parents,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about sacrifice? I mean, that's another level of sacrifice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this, coming to that, like, how do you deal with burnout? How do you deal with athletes who burn out?
Because we're there right now. I mean, asking for a friend, actually. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what kind of burnout are we talking about? Like what's happened to him?
Mental burnout. Like, you can do it.
Mental as well as physical, I'd say. We're just constantly training endlessly over and over again. And let's say you're hitting a plateau with your work, with your training. What advice would you advise? Easing off training, taking a break? I mean, how does that work?
So the first question I would ask the friend is, how much time or what is he doing to study the mind?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, so then that's the starting point, because like the burnout and all that, it's all from the mind. Like everything, if you feel tired, it's from the mind. Like your body, okay, it can be tired, but it's just you're consciously aware of that you're tired, but you can do so much when you're tired, and you know that. It's like, it's just that. So everything originates in the mind. Like it's literally, even sicknesses. I think there's maybe like only 7 sicknesses or illnesses that are passed on through the DNA, and everything else is kind of, we don't know how, etc. But it's kind of created through the mind. If you're not, even cancer and these things. So it's in the mind. And if you tell me he's doing nothing for the mind, then I would start there and just say, okay, let's investigate. Let's start to study how this works. And the solution is usually like, I'm not like the how-to coach, because what you find is it's more important to know what you want or what the friend wants. What's the end result? And then just be open to how that's going to happen. Like, be open to how the recovery is going to happen. Be open to how you're going to heal your joints. Just be open to it. And the insights, you will start to attract these things. But if you're locked into, I have to do it like that because that's the right way to do it, you close yourself to all the other opportunities that are out there.
That's fair.
Like, I give you a cool example with, I have a tennis player and one of his end results, and we can talk about material things as well because they're goals, that's fine. Mm-hmm. He wants to drive a Ferrari. And I asked him, well, why don't you? He's like, well, I don't have enough money yet to buy the Ferrari. And he's locked in that to drive a Ferrari, he's got to buy a Ferrari. And so I told him, I have a friend who's playing golf and he won in a tournament, he won a Porsche. And I have another friend, she is driving a nice, it's not a Ferrari, but it's a really nice Audi. It's for Nicola sponsored and so on. And I tell him, so that's just 2 more ways how you can be driving a Ferrari. And I don't know everything. It's just like 2 ways, but there's thousands of ways how you can drive a Ferrari. And so just be open to it, but know what you want, but be open to how it's going to happen. And then, it will.
That's pretty cool, man.
How important is like focus? So we hear this word being thrown out around a lot, but like, how important is it to like stay consistent with your goal setting or with goal progression?
Yeah, I mean, let's take an example from BJJ. When you're working a sweep from half guard. Then okay, you watch how it is on YouTube. You think like it's a really cool technique and you wanna learn it. So then what happens? You go to the gym, you try it out a couple times, right? You do it. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then if you want to really learn it, that you can do it in competition, what do? Again,
you gotta keep working it.
You gotta stay focused. You gotta do that shit 1,000 times, or maybe more, but you have to do it many, many, many times. So you have to stay focused. And the reason why a lot of people fail at what they set out to do is not that they're not capable. It's not that they don't know how. It's that they lose focus after a while. Life gets busy. You see another sweep on YouTube and it's like, oh, that's cool too. And you go to that. And then, that's how it is. It's just like, oh yeah, I want to learn from Mount as well. Oh yeah. Oh, let me try that. And you just lose the focus and you're not learning it because you're losing the focus. You can't do everything at once. So that's why, focus is everything. And Tony Robbins is saying where focus goes, energy flows. It's your ability to, stick with something for a long time. Animals can't do that. If a dog smells something there, they run over, Yeah.
Moit's a lot like that, actually.
Yeah, I've got like a good 35 minutes in me after that. I'm like, yo.
35 minutes is a stretch, Mohit.
What are we doing
I give
next,
it
guys?
about 7 minutes. Mohit gets distracted and he needs to do something else. You can't hold the tension for more than 7 minutes.
But guys, this is something I think in our generation, and I'm not like very good with that. I have to say, like being focused is like with the social media and everything, like the text message. Oh, who texts me?
Yeah, the ADD generation.
Yeah. And the dopamine hit that comes. And I mean, it's real. Like for me, the struggle is real. It's like, I got to really put my phone away and I got to block like 3 hours and say, okay, I'm not going to check. Because otherwise you keep bouncing back and forth. And
I've considered getting rid of it actually, man, but it's been very hard because I mean, I've been trying to get off Instagram for the longest time, but everything I'm doing with my life professionally, I need it. Are you on WhatsApp? Because that shit also drives me up the wall, man. The messages every day, the stress every time I'm trying to open it, wondering who's fucking messaging me now. But yeah, how do you get rid of this shit? Do you just like get off your phone for a certain period of time in the day?
So I don't really get rid of, so I just put it on the side. And what I do is I block time for what is really important, because I also use it a lot to, but then that's just an excuse to be on it, to be honest, like, because I can wait more often than not, it can just wait.
Yeah.
And what you'll find, and then also this is like not my idea, it's like what business people, very successful business people, you think Elon Musk is on the phone all the time? Hell no, he's doing his thing, and then he's having some time to do the meetings and all that. So what I do is I just put it away, and I block the time in the calendar, like blocks of quite long, like 3 hours or so, where I sit and I just do that. You know, might get a coffee or open the window for a bit, but I do that as focused as I can and not jump, because they did studies, for example, that when your attention jumps around on different things, like having multiple tabs open. Oh, I'm perfect, like in the wrong way. I have like 7 tabs open and I keep jumping. But every time you do that, your mind needs a bit of time to refocus on what you do, and instead of just sticking with one task and finish it. Right? So that's what I'm working on, trying to become more productive, more effective, and it's working really well. So time block, and then just do one thing at the time. That's what I really
That's a
try
good
hard.
idea, man. Because I have a disease. I open Instagram, I close it, and then I open it again.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest one. Like, you're like,
And
what
not
am I,
even joking. And then
what am I doing back here?
and then about like 5 minutes later, I realize what I'm doing.
I'm
But
back
then I
here.
do it again. Then I do it again.
What the fuck is going on?
So it makes no sense to me how we are an evolved species, because this thing really has me hooked, man. And I'm just every day I'm gonna try what you just said. I'm gonna try and just get rid of it for like 3 hours at a time. It's not a bad
Yeah.
idea at all.
Yeah. And to see, but what you're saying is like, it's a high level of awareness. If you can, we can laugh about it, it's cool, but at least you can share. That's the first step, is always, you gotta be aware of what's happening. Like, if you're just reacting and it's just happening, you have no chance to actually do something about it. And then you also have to be like man enough to say, okay, I take
Yeah.
self-responsibility for that. That's really what's
Yeah.
happening. I mean, it's
Yeah, dude.
true though.
It's taking control of my life, man. And I mean, you just miss out on so much productive time. It's insane. And I'm only coming to realize that now. And for the longest time, I've just been trying to get rid of my phone, dude. But unfortunately, work in today's day and age really demands that I have to have it. So that's the only reason I'm keeping it, really.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way also, that as a suggestion. I think if you work on something for an hour a day, that is 9 40-hour weeks for a year. So, like, think about it this way. If you spend, instead of being on Instagram doing something that is not really serving you, as you just described it, right? It's like, it
Correct.
could be cool for a little bit, but after that, it's not really like serving you. If you replace that time with, writing down your dreams again and again, hanging out with your dream, closing your eyes and visualizing what you really want, like, just, and I think you can like imagine that even right now, what change that could bring into your life, how that could move your life. Because I mean, it's just absolutely incredible if you send out these thoughts and the feelings. And I'll give you like a really cool example that's like almost a bit spooky, but this is how it works. Because just because we can't see these energies, we're like very fixated, especially in the Western culture, by the way, very fixated on the 5 senses. And for example, gravity is also, you don't see it, but gravity, you experience it because it hurts when you fall on your ass, right? But there's other things, other vibrations that we cannot decode with our 5 senses.
Electromagnetism and stuff like that as
Yes.
well. And the whole light spectrum.
Exactly. And you know how they say that we're all connected and we're all coming from the same source and all that. And listen to this, my girlfriend, she's been doing the kind of work for about 3 or 4 months now. And she's an MMA pro fighter, and she wants to empower women because she's from Kosovo, Albania, Kosovo. And, she knows a lot of girls that are getting beat by their husbands or whatever.
Domestic violence.
Exactly. And they have zero confidence or self-esteem to do anything about it. They just endure it. And also in Switzerland. And she wants to inspire them through the training that she's doing, through her story and everything. And also now mentally. And she had a vision about a month ago about being on Swiss TV, on like a talk show on Swiss TV. And she had that vision. And guys, 2 weeks later, they called her without any contact from her part, like physical or Instagram, nothing. They
No.
called her, and they asked her if she would come on the show. And now in the fall, she's been on the biggest like talk show, prime time Swiss TV, in the evening at 10
That's
o'clock.
amazing.
No, that's so cool.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, that stuff, the universe needs a bit of time, but sometimes it's super fast to arrange itself for you. But if you really assume, and this is physics, it's not just like spooky or woo-woo stuff, not anymore, because quantum physics now can prove these things. And there's physicists, Einstein was saying that already with the law of attraction, and you just have to send that stuff out.
Joe Dispenza talks about this kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's all the same thing.
The power of thought. Yeah. He's got a book about it also. I think a book. I don't know if it's a book or an audio, but Becoming Supernatural.
I have that book here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, this guy talks about it, and I have his meditations. I try to get into it, but I never really did. I mean, huh?
Don't you ever give me this shit? Like,
I do give you shit, but it takes you about 6 years to read one book.
That's
Mohit,
true. It takes me very long to read a book, man. Like I'm like really slow at fucking reading books.
Audiobooks will fix that.
I think that's the way.
Well, here's the thing. I think it doesn't matter if you're slow. It's like, it's not about reading the book and saying, oh yeah, I've read that. It's about internalizing that stuff. I mean, Bob Proctor, he's Think and Grow Rich. He read that for 60 years and he's still reading it every freaking day.
Right.
Oh, really?
That's really, he is. That's the story that he keeps saying. He's reading it every day. He's reading pages from that, and he's reading. And I started doing that. I have the book that I have. I read the 10 pages, and I read it like every other day. I read the same 10 pages because that's how it goes in here. That with repetition, you're learning.
No, that is drilling. Correct. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're training your brain. That does make a lot of sense, and it's a very overlooked part of, well, at least our training. And I have a lot of athletes, PG athletes and competitors who could use a lot of this stuff, because a lot of them hit plateaus which they can't really break through, and the majority of the time it's just all mental. I mean, so I'd love to, I mean, at least with myself, I'd love to get in touch with you and get counseled.
David, what are some of the common traits like you see between the world's best athletes and like the top businessmen and entrepreneurs and stuff like that? What are some traits that you see?
Yeah, it is literally, it's those two. I keep going back to those two things. It's like the big dream to do something, to have something, and then the second thing is that they believe that they can do it. It's like, it's literally these two things. And that, you know, if you have a vision, let's also like decision making. They say that the leaders, they can make decisions fast, right? And while if you're not a good leader, you don't make decisions fast. And you know why that is? It's because leaders, all they need to answer is, do I really want it? And if the answer is a yes, then without knowing how that's going to happen, they're just going to start. And they're taking imperfect action, because all they have to answer for themselves is, do I really want it? And am I willing to make those sacrifices? And then they're like, yes, and they go. While other people, they have the lists of all the positives, all the negatives. And then one day they wake up like, oh, I'm going to do this. The next day something happens. They're like, oh, no, I can't, you know, and they keep going back and forth, and they'll never make a decision. And that is, if you know what you want, if you really know what you want and you believe that you can have it, you will make a committed decision and you'll go for it, and you will take that imperfect action. Even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. You'll learn as you go. And that's how, and guys, when you think about it, and this is where social media comes in again, most people think, because that's what it looks like, is that they first have to have something, that they can go and do something and then become somebody. But that is completely wrong. It looks like that on TV and social media, but how it really works is that you close your eyes, you think who you want to be, then you go out and do, and as an end result, you will have. That's how it's really working. And so, you know, it's that ability to go inside and not to let the current results dictate your life and think what you're capable of. It's like closing your eyes completely off from that and thinking, what do I really want? And then, you know, start to act, feel, walk, play, compete like that. And then with, you know, that will come to you.
And that's a good example. Social media for sure.
Yeah, man. It's not base you what you not base your future on the current results because they don't mean anything. It's just like the skills that you've developed so far, they've gotten you to where you are, but it doesn't mean zero about where you can go because you know how it is. You can meet one person. You can meet one person in life, and all of a sudden, like I met William Whitecloud from the Natural Success Academy, and he made me partner in his firm. One person, it's changed my life because the impact that I'm having, the message that gets out, the money that comes to me, like the everything changes with one person, and that can happen to anybody. But you got to be open to. You got to know what you want.
That's really interesting.
National
Yeah,
Success Academy, you said.
the Natural Success Academy.
The
Yeah.
natural. Okay.
Natural because we all have it in us. We just look, it's if we do you guys agree that in life it's all about learning?
Sure.
Absolutely, especially with our like the martial art we practice and preach and teach. 100% because a new martial art and it's still growing. So we got to learn every day, man.
Exactly. So it's about learning, and we could also say it's about raising our awareness of what's going on, how stuff works, right?
Hmm.
So when you
Absolutely.
came to the planet, when we all came to the planet as a baby, we weren't aware of the difference between men and women.
Hmm.
Right, and then we develop and we're like, okay, yeah, I'm a man and she's a girl, and now
It's
from 50
nurture,
meters away it's easy for us to say, okay, this is a man, this is a woman, easy.
right?
Now think of this: if you imagine a cliff that goes like down 100 meters, and if we're standing on the cliff, we know we can't take another step because if we do, we're going to fall and we're dead. But if a
Mhm.
baby crawls there, that baby will just keep going and fall right down and die because it has not built the awareness of gravity yet, what that is. And this
Right.
is no different. This is it. This is now. So I'm exposing you to this information. It has come to me about 3 years ago. Unluckily, not earlier, but this is now the next. This is another step. It's like, okay, how does this really work? How do these laws work of the universe? And it's good to now that you know that there that this stuff works and exists and all that, it's on you and on me to keep studying this and investigate how it really works, how the law of attraction works and all that. And it's about raising our awareness of what is really going on, how this really works, because just because we haven't heard it in school, it's just that these people also don't know, that my parents didn't know. It doesn't make them bad people. It's just they didn't know, they weren't
Hmm.
aware of that. And now we
Correct.
weren't aware of how this stuff works like many years ago, and now we're like using it to connect all around the world. And
Hmm.
it's just we weren't aware of it a couple of years ago. Now we are.
Right.
Yeah, it goes beyond nature versus nurture. I think it's knowledge that even our parents didn't have, I guess.
Yeah,
And it's hopefully knowledge we will then preach to our kids someday.
that's right. And when you figure out how it goes, when you figure out how the mind works, it's like there's a cool thing. Like if you can be a teacher, it's like when you in BJJ, when you know the moves, you can first of all you can repeat it in other areas of life because you have developed those skills, and then also you can transfer it to other people. And this is so beautiful because you can give back, you can inspire, you can contribute because you know how it works. If you're not aware, you can have a lot of success but not know how you did it. Then
Mhm.
it's like because the programming was good for you, and but then you cannot transfer it because you don't know how you did it, right? And you can be a very successful
Correct.
athlete, but you can struggle in other areas of life.
I was
And
going to bring that up, that like, what's the importance of all round development? Or should you be like one of those horses in the race where you got your blinders on and you just solely focused on one goal? Or should you be like, okay, this whole thing, this growth has to be everything around me. It can't be just one dimensional growth.
yeah, it's a very good question. So I'm a fan of the holistic approach that we have to. I mean, then look, I also had an athlete. He has about, let's say, like a soccer player, maybe 3 or 4 years left in his career, right?
Okay.
And he was saying, well, I got to have like the work life balance and all that. And I'm like, dude, what kind of balance are we talking about? You got 3 or 4 years left. You either go for it now, you can have all the balance later, but you got to go for it now because that opportunity you will not have again.
Right.
And so
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about that, I actually think, if you really want it, it comes back to what do you really want? If you really want it as an athlete, you have to be willing to, if this is the middle line, you have to be willing to get off to one side and really focus on that for a little bit. but just know that you're so much more than that. Just know that this doesn't define you, that you can do anything else in life when you choose to go back to the middle or to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
I think that's an important distinction to make, because a lot of athletes, well, at least with MMA athletes, they're clueless as to what to do when their career comes to an end. You see it with the NFL, you see it with rugby players. They don't know what to do. They have no other. They figure out who they are after their career comes to an end. And it's very rare that we meet individuals like you who, I mean, let's be honest. Uh, you've been going for how long now after swimming? How long have you been tired?
Time is running since 2012. So what's that, like 9 years?
9 years, yeah. So I mean, you've really hit. I'm guessing you're in your peak now. So you've really found your calling after an entire career in swimming, which is very, very rare for any professional athlete. But it's inspiring, man.
It's cool.
Because a lot of people they don't know what to do after spending their whole life in a professional career, competitive career. They're just very, very
Why do you think
confused.
that is?
Because that's all they've known.
That's all they've known. That's all they dedicate their entire time to, and they don't know what to do.
Plus,
after.
like you said about the thing about guidance. Now, more often than not, the person who is teaching the athlete or is coaching the athlete,
the mentor,
they were good, but they would most likely are not like world class, or most likely not like, have everything together. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the position of being like a trainer or a coach or something like that. So they just were unable to give, the student or the athlete the right tools to kind of develop in other areas of life. So that's why you see a lot of unfulfilled athletes, a lot of unfulfilled lives and careers. So I think this is a big part of like the whole game of being an athlete or being a professional athlete, where it's been largely ignored. What you are doing is just, making sure that mentally you are stable and progressing upwards. Because like you said earlier, like sometimes it's very hard to trust the process when you don't get the results you're expecting, and that's the time when you kind of fall off, like, fuck this, I don't want to do this. Or like how important is like to overcome those humps over a career.
Yeah. What you're saying, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's no overnight success, right? Or I read a good quote, I forget how it goes exactly, but they say, well, there is overnight success, but there was like 10 years in working or something like that. So yeah, but that's what people remember. They're like, oh yeah, I worked for him, and we we think, wow, that worked for him and it will never work for me, and we come up with all kinds of excuses, but we don't really take the time to investigate how much work and how much focus that guy
and what
put
that
in.
guy's goal was from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the shit he went through, sometimes we hear like a short documentary, 5 minutes about somebody, and it's like, oh yeah, he had some tough times, but we kind of dismiss it and then still think, oh, but he's, he can have that because of this, instead of just really just looking at ourselves and say, hey, like the only difference between that guy and me is the mindset. That's it. There's no, I mean, of course there's some physical differences, and in basketball, if you're really short, you're not going to be like the world's best dunker. There is, but that's not it. Most of the time it's like the mindset, because you would never have the intuition to be like the world's best basketball player if you're like 5 feet tall. It just wouldn't occur to you anyhow. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah. You'd be like a jockey. So coming to now, confidence versus overconfidence.
Oh, this is an interesting question, because I know somebody who has very interesting take on this. But yeah, go ahead, finish your question, Mohit.
My question is, how do you it's a blade, it's a fine blade between confidence and overconfidence. How do you walk that line? Like, what are some tools to walk that
Guys, I gotta tell you, I have, in my years as working with this, I've never met somebody that had like too much confidence. Like I just haven't.
I work with Ashwin for a while. Like, we're like, yeah, no, I'm fucking these guys up. I'm good, man. So that's a little annoying, but like, yeah. So you say, you haven't dealt with people who have unbelievable overconfidence.
No, man, not on.
Are you
It
saying
could
I
be
have
like,
unbelievable overconfidence, Mohit?
Are you saying you don't? Like, for everyone who listens to this podcast, like, we'll put this
Nah,
clip up and ask yes or no. We'll see.
no. I mean, I'm of the firm belief, firstly, that overconfidence is better than underconfidence,
Hell yeah. Like, say,
right?
you know me.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
fuck the other end of the spectrum. So I'm gonna stick with this.
yeah, it's interesting. I think if you're in the gym and you're walking around like that, and it could just be also like a little bit of a game, right? You're like trying to impress others, or you're just like imitating Conor McGregor. I mean, we have the guys, but look, we have guys in the gym that they watch Conor McGregor, like they're like maybe 17, 18, and they're fighting MMA, right? And they're good. And they start to walk around with him. I mean, you see them shadow box. They check themselves out and they try to be
Yeah.
like McGregor. But if it helps them, hey, go for it. Like if you feel like him and you start to punch and like you go for it. I mean, who am I to say like don't do that?
Whatever inspires you.
Yeah, like in the
Yeah,
BJJ
so-
world, Gordon Ryan did it, man.
Yeah.
So like everybody's. I mean, that's with. I mean, Instagram is peacocking on a different scale, right? All you're doing on Instagram is peacocking. So that shit sells and it works very well in the modern day. But anyway, moving on, David. If someone were to get in touch with you, how do they do that? Where do people reach you?
Yeah. The
And
easiest
what's the
is,
process to work with you?
yeah, the easiest is on the website, the tribeofathletes.com. And you have all the links there. We have a YouTube channel. You can connect with me there. There's you can email me or get into the community. Basically, that's like the coolest because it's the Tribe of Athletes. It's a community, and what you find is you guys know how important it is to hang out with the people like that you want to associate with that are on a similar path. And so that's why I encourage everybody to join the community and get involved in this because we have a lot of free trainings. And then if this is for you, then I will do the selling basically of my services. Like you'll get in touch with that anyhow, but I would start out with the free trainings on YouTube if that's something that really excites you. Because look, the first thing, and even with kids, it's also very important when the parents think, it's always the parents' idea to develop the mental game. It's not the kid coming, hey, I need help, right? but what's really important
Rabid
is,
8-year-old shows
that
up.
would be a pretty cool kid, man. Not gonna lie.
yeah,
Coach, I just want to be the best. I'm 8 years old, but I've fucking got time.
exactly. But like what's super important is that the kid wants to do this kind of work, that the kid wants to be there. And it's the same with adults. If we're doing something we're not enjoying, man, we're not going to get the learning. But if it's something like, oh shit, like I want to learn more about it, I want to start to study it and see. And we always say, try it on for size. I'm not telling you what to do, but try it on, see if it fits you, see if you get results, if you start to feel better. And then if you decide, we can take the next steps. But I think so. The tribeofathletes.com is like a very good starting point.
Okay, great.
Amazing. And you have an event coming up in May, I believe, like an online event where people can join you for this.
Exactly. So that's also on the webpage. It's the world-class confidence workshop where we go for 45 minutes a day on Zoom. This is the first time I do it on Zoom. So we can actually, because used to do it on YouTube, just stream it. But now we're going to do it on Zoom so we can have more interaction and also in between. So yeah, so that will be cool.
All right, we'll be there for sure.
Yeah, if you can you got to see the time. Might have to. I don't know if you're still up at the time, but yeah, check it out.
I'll be up. I don't know about Mohit. I'll be up. Yeah.
We'll figure it out, man.
It would be lovely to have you guys, obviously, and then also I'm going to make it very interactive that we can, chat and that, because sharing and, as you say, speaking it, it's such a big part of it, and not just sit and listen, but be involved in it. That's how you really learn.
All right, man. Cheers. That's awesome.
That's amazing. Cool. Thank you, David. Thank you so much for coming on.
This was super fun, man.
Yeah,
so
I
open
agree.
about
you
it.
guys are incredible podcast hosts. I think that's like one, if not the easiest, best thing that I've done, like in terms of podcasting. So good job, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Just under 2 hours. I looked at the clock earlier. It was an hour, and I was like, "Shit, that was quick, man."
Yeah.
But
All right.
it's been, I don't think it's been that long. An
No,
hour and a half.
An hour and a half, not 2 hours.
Yeah, mine's showing 148. I know.
All right. Thanks again, David. We hope to see you very soon in a few days now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Looking forward to it.
I'm gonna sign up for your personal coaching most likely.
Thank you,
Okay,
gentlemen.
sounds good. That sounds great. I mean, we can have a conversation. Like,
Sure.
Let's have
Mohit
one.
can hop off and we can talk right now. Or if
yeah,
Mohit you want to stick on, you can.
Right now is not so good. Let's do next week, okay?
Works for me.
Works for
All
you?
right.
Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. All right, it was really, really nice. Thanks for having me, guys.
Our
All right,
pleasure.
cheers, brother. Thank you.
Take care.